Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about the Electric Eel Wheel Pro. I've mentioned this a few times before on my channel, and it's a very long-term project, probably still a couple of years away. It's a project right now that I'm working on whenever I have spare time. The cone winder is having its molds made, not much work to be there, and I'm waiting for assembly to be done on the Nano 2, so that leaves me some spare time in my pipeline to work on this project, and I've made some good progress since the last update, so I thought I'd show it to you. There's going to be a big screen right here, and that's to control a lot of the different settings and give you feedback from all the different sensors that I'll be including in this version. These big holes here are to hold batteries. I'll probably be using RC type batteries, which should make it easier to buy batteries in different countries, because I know that the battery pack that I'm suggesting for the Electric Eel Wheel 6 is a little hard to get around the world. Hopefully this will make it a little bit easier to get the batteries you need. It also gives you more flexibility because there's more makers of those kinds of batteries than what I'm currently recommending. I haven't tested any of that, but that's sort of the plan. I think it'll work. I still don't want to sell the batteries myself. They're just too much difficulty in shipping them and stuff around the world. Let's see. Actually, let's just jump in. The main feature I wanted to talk about in this video is the level winding feature. And that's something that I've been spending all my time on because it's the most requested feature. And it's also one of the hardest to do. So I've been trying to do level winding devices for years. I've got YouTube videos from a long time ago where I had an idea and I thought I was making progress. And I was just never happy. Well, this one's turning out much better than any of my past versions. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing here, and it's not yet perfect. So there's still some issues with slipping of some of these belts, and I'm trying to decide exactly how best to solve that. The way this works is there's actually, you can sort of see there's two belts right here going down to the motor, and one of them connects to a pulley that's locked onto the spindle, and then the other one is a freely rotating pulley, and it has one belt going to it from the motor and then another belt going to each of these flyer arms. Inside these flyer arms, there's a self-reversing screw that lets these little hooks move back and forth when you're rotating it in a single direction. So the way that this works is the gearing to these two belts that are going to the spindle are slightly different, such that these arms or the hooks on the arms will rotate or will slide back and forth. And I haven't really figured out the exact gearing that I want to use. Right now I'm targeting that they'll move across the flyer arm about once per minute, but I can make that faster or slower by adjusting the pulleys down here. That's very easy. But the thing that is sort of causing some problems is that these hooks have to stay exactly in sync. So most, or in fact all other level winding systems I've seen only have hooks on one side, and that just leads to an imbalance. You really need to keep the hooks on both sides in sync. And with mine, I'm going to be doing that because I plan to rotate this flyer at up to 3,000 RPMs, so faster than I've ever had another e-spinner go. Things are going pretty good in respects to that. You can see that the whole flyer design is now this red material is an aluminum, and I did that to really stiffen things up. I'm actually really happy with both visually how it turned out and mechanically it's amazing. Now, like many of the other things on this project, it adds some cost, and it's a big reason I didn't do something like that with the Electric Eel Wheel 6. But for the Electric Eel Wheel Pro, it's going to be a more expensive wheel, so I can do, again, a lot of things that I wouldn't have been able to do on a less expensive wheel. It's sort of meant to be sort of the highest end e-spinner that I make. With these sliding hooks, because of the gearing, they're going to rotate slowly back and forth as the flyer rotates, and it's actually kind of hard to show. I'd have to sit here and rotate this flyer, but trust me, eventually these hooks will move back and forth. I can actually kind of simulate how they move if I take off one of these belts. So with that belt disconnected, I will hold the motor in place, and what this is going to do is basically every rotation of the flyer will move the sliding hooks about 1/12 of the way, and you can see that they're moving rapidly. This is much more rapidly than you'd ever have them move in real life, but it really shows how they do both move at the same rate. They stay in sync, and it works really quite well. There's just some little improvements I need to make. Another thing that people told me is they wanted the ability to sometimes move the hooks on their own. They don't like level winding systems, and this actually works really great for that too. This is how I tested it initially, but you actually have this knob, so if you stop, or what I did was I just removed the belt going to this, so now these hooks are not going to move at all, and if you just turn the dial, it moves the hook for you. And it's really like you just move, you stop the flyer and you just turn this dial. It's much easier than any of the sliding mechanisms that I've ever made before. I really actually love this, even when not using the level winding system. I feel like, you do half a turn and then you can start it back up. You spin for a while, you do another half turn. It just moves the hook in a very nice and easy way that's sort of pointing at you as you're sitting here spinning. You just reach in, turn the hook that you care about, and you're good to go. So it does work for both level winding and manually adjusting the hooks very well. That's pretty much all I was going to show you today. So a big part of the reason I'm shooting this is to see if I can get some help with improving this design. So the main issue is that these belts will sometimes slip, and I'm just not completely convinced that I can make them non-slippable ever with these round belts that I'm using. So I think I'm going to switch to, maybe a plastic chain or a timing belt. Maybe gears would also be an option. So there's actually lots of options on things I could do, but I haven't really tried any of those other ideas yet. And it also takes a really long time for me to try each one. So I'm kind of hoping that somebody out there has some experience with these kinds of technologies and might have a suggestion on which one would work best. I have an idea of what I think will work best, but I kind of want to hear what someone else thinks will work best and go through their pro and con list and compare it to my pro and con list and sort of use that sort of consulting to make my next version hopefully better than something I could have come up with on my own. Probably going to hire a consultant because this is just an area that I think I can save a lot of time of my time if I can just hire somebody who has experience with this and probably make something better than I would get at with my next prototype. That's the plan and a big reason why I'm releasing this. So definitely contact me if you think you could be any help or have any suggestions on someone that would be able to be hired for that kind of a job. I really don't think it's going to be very much work. It's probably somebody who knows what they're doing here is probably going to be able to, in a few hours of their time, be able to point me in what direction they think. So anyways, that's a big part of the reason I'm releasing this video. It is a long ways off, so definitely take that into account. Probably 2 years away or something. I have several other projects that are going to likely come out before this one. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.